Hi, my name is Gail. I'm the associate editor here at Friends Journal, and today I'm speaking with one of our September issue authors, Suzanne W. Cole. Our September issue is on reproduction and family planning, and Suzanne's article opens the issue with the title is Holy Just As I Am, Traveling with Infertility. Suzanne is affiliated with South Central Yearly Meeting, and Suzanne is studying to get an MDiv from Earlham School of Religion. Thanks so much for joining with me today, Suzanne.
Thanks for having me, Gail.
So you're joining us from New Orleans, and I'm just going to jump into your article, which I absolutely loved. It's so well written and really, really powerful. We posted it on social media yesterday, and it's resonating with a lot of people. So you begin your article with a trip to the doctor's office this past January, and it sounds like you had a comprehensive set of tests done, and you left the office with some shocking news of being infertile. So could you describe for us how you felt in that moment?
Sure. My doctor didn't think it was the most important thing. She was more concerned with starting me on some medication and talking about how to manage my life. And I remember not having her support just because we didn't talk about it. Like, it wasn't something on her radar. So I was carrying it myself. And because it wasn't the most important thing, it was like, okay, I tell people this piece of news that is actually pretty important because it's a compounding physical problem. And this one, and I'm starting a new med for this, and asking my mom's help on what does this look like? Because my mom is a nurse. And it was something that wasn't immediately a problem, but it immediately hurt.
Yeah, so a lot to carry there. And it's interesting that you found out through a test where some women sort of find out once they start trying. A lot of women go from being terrified of getting pregnant when they're not quite ready to do that with a partner, to being terrified that they can't get pregnant once you've find yourself in a committed relationship, and you get married and you think about starting a family, and then all of a sudden you're scared that you can't get pregnant. And a lot of women don't find out until they actually start trying. And so,
Infertility is definitely different for queer people, um, because it's usually something we have to go out of our way to find out about.
mhm,
Our relationships aren't usually the accidental pregnancy sort.
I see. Okay. And at one point you say you decided, you vowed to stop saying things like when we're parents or if we have kids to your partner.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering, had you talked to your partner about it at that point, or were you just thinking about it?
Well, we've talked about it on and off. I mean, we're both in our 30s. His sister is not partnered either, and his mom would really love grandchildren. My mom would really love to be part of that process with me. And so, it's come up. It's something that we've included in our conversation because I think it's important when you're deciding if you want to make a life with someone. Do you want to be parents? Do you not want to be parents? Are you open? Um, and I wanted to make sure that he and I were on the same page as we looked at our future and as we decided to make big financial decisions together. Um, I think it's just the kind of thing that comes up in passing after a while because you want to start thinking about it, but perhaps not thinking about it in the take an entire weekend, 5 hour hashing it out, threshing sessions in your relationship sort of way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you say in your article you're on the cusp of 30. I'm not sure if you've turned 30 yet. I'm also on the cusp of 30, and it is something, I'm married for about a year, and we've had the conversation, but again, it's sort of like we're not yet sure of the timing and whether or not, that it will be easy for us to have children. It is a big discussion, but it is one that you should be on the same page about, as you say, with your partner. And so at many times in your article, you describe your infertility as a black hole or a void, which sort of suggests a lacking or an emptiness inside of you, that feeling. And this is where in the article you begin to engage more with spirit. And I love how you describe that section. You describe engaging with your void inside of you in very tangible terms. You say like you measure the void and you're throwing things into the void. And I thought that was very vivid, and it really got across like what you were struggling with and wrestling with there. And then in the end, you say the person who came to my aid was spirit, which was really powerful and connects to the Quaker way of sitting in silence and sitting with yourself and engaging in that way. So how did silence and the Quaker way help you during that time?
Well, kind of an ongoing theme, I've preached about it, we've talked about it in some of the communities I'm in, is learning to be comfortable with discomfort. And the work of spirit really settles in that space. That as we engage discomfort, one of the best ways to deal with it is to settle and see what shape it takes and see where spirit is present there and kind of get the sense of it. As like if you're doing a cartography project, you want to know where the peaks and valleys of the discomfort are. And you want to see how spirit rolls over them. And kind of settling into a space that is bigger than me is important, because, at least for me, because I am full of a lot of inconsistencies and, voids and peaks and valleys, but reminding myself of how small I am in the presence of spirit makes my problems look, it puts them more in perspective. Mm-hmm. And it allows spirit to do great work, because I love the big boldness of the world, but when spirit can be bigger and bolder than that, it's easy to let spirit be empowered. Mm.
Yeah. And that is certainly a process that takes time, that I think a lot of people struggle with and find frustration with, going through the process and understanding that the toughness is a part of the process. To be patient there. That's great. So you also really seem to use humor as a way of coping with this new news and this new formation of yourself. And I'm sort of guessing that it seems like humor is something that you enjoy dealing with in your life. Would you say that that's true?
Well, I do. My mom has a really understated sense of humor, and I think my mom coped with having 4 difficult, headstrong kids by making fun of herself and making jokes about it, because I watch family videos and I replay things in my mind, and there's my mom making these really weird jokes that the toddler on the floor is totally not getting, but it's helping her deal. Mm-hmm. So I have imprinted in my head that, like, when something like this happens, you need to make light of it for yourself, as a way to take the next step.
Yeah. So you joke about when you were at annual yearly meeting sessions in Texas, you saw a bunch of pro-child-free literature that said, not reproducing is good for the earth, we're overpopulated, and you joked about taking that literature and throwing it in the lake.
I did not test that leading, and I posted that sentence on Facebook debating whether to take the article out, and several friends encouraged me to test that leading.
I laughed when I read that. I really enjoyed that. And another thing I really liked was at some point in the article, you say you have this list of the top 5 things you should not say to somebody that is infertile, and it's ever changing. And I'm wondering if you'd be able to share some of those with us.
Yeah. In no particular order, but having children is such a blessing or not having children is such a blessing for the earth. I'm so glad you could make that big decision. Well, your finances will thank you. Think about the amazing vacations you'll be able to take now. Really? Really?
Yeah.
My finances are your problem now? Thank you. I'm so glad.
Yeah.
The newest one is, I'm so glad you won't have to lose weight before you get pregnant.
Oh, man.
Thanks. I'm so glad you're concerned and you're fat trolling me.
Right.
Good. Just anything that's expressing misfortune for someone else, or expressing, some sort of delight in someone else's misfortune, it feels wrong. It feels kind of grainy and, like you're being served toothpaste instead of mashed potatoes.
Nice. And so at the end, you say that you've sort of started viewing the children of the, I think it was Baltimore yearly meeting. You work at one of the summer camps occasionally. You started like viewing those children in a different light.
I mean, I was at Opequon this summer, and it was wonderful. I love the experience of working at Opequon as the kitchen manager. But it was a really different dynamic because we had a camp baby this summer. And all of the parents who are work granters, like these are the people that camp relies on, and we love them so much. And they are amazing. I love working with these work grant parents. And all summer, they were just having these great, like, oh, remember when I had babies? Oh, babies are amazing. Like, all baby chat all the time. And it was a very intentional moment for me, because I had to have this continual conversation with myself of, like, this baby is so wanted and so loved and so welcome. And this baby has nothing to do with me. And so I need to welcome this baby. I need to welcome this kid as much as I welcome every single other kid coming up to the window and getting food or asking for hot sauce or just being weird. And, cooking for those kids and being with those kids is amazing. They're really wonderful. Even when it's hard, even when I'm looking out and thinking, I'm never going to be a camp mom. Because I'm seeing sparks in the Quaker experience that the kids talk about not being able to have outside of camp. They're very clear that camp is this incredible place for them. And if I'm concerned about the Quaker experience, I have to be deeply in love with what happens at camp. Because these friends are enriching the Quaker experience. Even though they're 9 years old and they only eat grilled cheese and peanut butter, they are enriching the Quaker experience. And if I have a true concern for that experience in this world, then I carry a true concern for them.
That's very self-aware and looking outside of yourself, looking at the bigger picture, which is something that is hard to do, but you've done it.
And honestly, I'm really grateful that I don't have to go home and continue parenting some of these kids.
Right, you only have to do it just for that.
Kids are high energy. I had no idea. They are really high energy.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. And so you say, you thought about that you would never be a camp mom. In the biological sense, so have you considered other ways of starting a family, adoption and fostering and IVF? Have you thought about it?
I look at the resources I have and the life I'm called to lead, and it's just not good stewardship of my experience on earth to spend a lot of money pursuing fertility.
Okay.
And, maybe fostering is in our future, maybe adoption is in our future, but right now the laws are not in favor of queer couples. They're really not. And they're really, really not in favor of couples that don't look kind of the traditional whitewashed gay or lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a gay man if you're a gay couple with a lot of money, that's great. If you're a very normative looking lesbian couple, they're probably in your favor. But if you're anything other than that, right now, fighting with the foster system and the adoption laws is a real struggle. And, my partner and I are just not interested in spending a year's salary on one event. And we're both called to live, we want to build tiny houses. We don't want to have a mortgage. We don't want to have any more debt than we've already incurred because we're both in grad school. We're pretty clear that the simplicity of the life we see for ourselves is the right choice.
Well,
and we both do church work, and we're both really open to that. And in a lot of ways, the nurturing experience comes into play when you're working with a congregation, because there is a lot of nurturing that goes into a congregation.
Yeah, so you can sort of get that sense and that feeling of nurturing in other ways. Yeah, okay.
And spending that energy, right now, spending the energy I would spend on parenting, on growing the Quaker experience, and engaging with people who are desperate to see, Quakers growing, seems the right calling.
Mm-hmm. Well, Suzanne, thank you so much for sharing with us today. Viewers of this video can read Suzanne's article in the September issue on reproduction and family planning. It is called Wholly Just As I Am, Traveling with Infertility. Thank you so much again, Suzanne. We hope to talk to you again soon. Okay, bye.